Josh.
Good day, Luke.
How you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good.
Good,
Feels
bro.
good to be here.
A
I'm in a
lot.
new house.
Oh, are
So,
ya?
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards.
Yes, sir.
The main component of life.
Yeah.
Carrying
How are you?
on and moving up.
That's right.
So yeah, man. So you're alive. You're doing all right.
Yeah,
Good, man.
yeah.
So yeah. So we just we'll have to apologize for the small little figure that I am up in the top because it was the best we could do. Skype failed us, and yeah, we're
Bugs
just
on.
we're gonna have to make do. Yeah, we were having a pretty good conversation beforehand anyway, so we're gonna try to
Yeah,
carry on, I guess, with some ideas from that.
yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, man. So what do you got? You got a few things written down.
Yeah. So I guess to entitle it or say what it engenders is the persona
Hmm.
and how absolutely relevant this bit of psychology is.
Uh,
Its origin or its genesis really emanates. It sort of starts with Freud, but of course Freud has his own ideations on what it might actually be via biological
uh,
idiosyncrasies. Jung takes it a step further and abstracts it with mythology. And actually, right now, I'm reading the History and Origins of Consciousness by Erich Neumann, which is one of
Shit.
Jung's students.
Okay.
Phenomenal book.
That's dope.
Yeah. But
Uh,
so
are you
anyway,
were you gonna read that thing you read to me earlier on the
yeah,
phone? Are you gonna read that?
I can.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to read that?
Sure.
Yeah, man. This was cool when because I had that gave me a lot of good talking points. Like it's just a short little paragraph, but it's cool.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, man.
So taking voluntary responsibility to the appalling conditions of life. We're suffering mortal creatures. We endow the proclivity for evil, the lotus of evil. Our lives are about responsibility, and then you do what you can about it with taking responsibility. Before us is a vast expanse of carnage, and if you can't tolerate that, or accept it, or become one with it to some degree, you're not integrated sufficiently. Most people will dispense with it. They won't allow it to be in their mind. And so, in the end, they'll pay for it with shallowness, self contempt, and with the inability to bear that suffering nobly.
Yeah.
Okay? So, fundamentally, we've lost the idea of masculinity.
Yeah.
The forefront of Nietzsche's philosophy was knowing the consequences of that.
Mm.
Masculinity has become weak
Yeah.
and denigrated.
Yeah.
The ideal that man could aspire to is denigrated.
Yeah.
It's become weakened.
Yeah.
But our spirit, the masculine spirit, which is also a part of each and every one of us, it's not, say, gender specific.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's not fundamentally carnage or pillaging. It's not fundamentally a rape culture. It's not world destroying. All those aspersions have been cast upon it, and I would say it's our responsibility to not allow those, not to take those accusations and not swallow them
Yeah.
without criticism.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Totally.
yeah,
Totally. Like that's a good little paragraph there. Like man, like it's like 100%. Like if you don't like lean into your own resistance or taking accountability for the stupid things that you do,
yeah,
and like that's the entire point of being an organism that's alive. Like what if a tree did that? What if a tree was just like, I don't want to grow any taller. I don't feel like growing taller. And then it would say like, okay, that's fine. You're just not going to get any sunlight into your leaves, and
yeah,
you're just eventually going to die. That's all.
yeah.
It's
You're
like,
not going to amount to your full potential.
yeah, yeah. It's like, and you might actually even die. And like, nobody would be like, nobody would be like shaming a tree if
No,
a tree like grew taller than the other trees, and we're just like, yeah, whatever, I want all the sunlight, I don't care about you other trees, give me all the sunlight. Like,
yeah,
that's just a natural proclivity of that tree. But then when it comes somehow to a person, or in this case when you were talking about the masculinity, it's like somehow it's bad
mm,
when someone wants to take accountability and be like, I don't like my life. I'm fucking weak and stupid and lazy. This sucks. I
yeah,
should I should do better. Like, yeah, of course.
yeah, yeah. So, but take the step forward, you know. And the one thing that people have seemed to dichotomized or delineated or maybe differentiated themselves with the fact that, you know, we're still animals.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know, like we're very interesting, strange animals that think very much. We abstract things. We have language like this. We have goal-directed actions. We have aims, targets. We've understood that there's been an archetypal image or images uh, adequately and sufficiently aggregated across
Uh,
thousands, maybe even millions of years. You know, it's hard to pinpoint exactly where these images were first produced,
mm.
but right back to the Neolithic era, the Paleolithic era. What were they writing on their cave walls,
Yeah.
and what do those caves represent? That's the archetype of, say, the uh, um, like the Great Mother.
Yeah.
That cave is a representation of
Yeah. That's
the
right.
womb,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right. That's right.
those images are usually animalistic
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
which shows the duality, the dual aspect.
Yeah.
But that interplay, it's congruent to how we've evolved to see ourselves to some degree,
Yeah,
right?
man. Yeah, it's like yeah, and what you were saying there too about how we're like they're like that's our society now, just constantly shaming men.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just fucking shaming them wholesale as if there's nothing wrong with that. And
Yeah.
a big part of it too, man, is like a part of why society can do that and why they can get away with it is like some man who's like on his purpose and accomplishing things and being like hugely valuable,
Mm-hmm.
he's not even fucking he's not even entertaining someone fucking speaking like that. It's like he's not even entertaining it. Like, what does Michael Jordan do when someone's like, you suck, Michael Jordan? He's like, oh, cool, bye.
Yeah.
Oh, right on, bye. And he just
It's
back to practicing, back to being the greatest ever, back to
yeah.
making hundreds of millions of dollars, back to
Yeah.
fucking dominating. And
That machine.
someone's like, "You suck, Michael Jordan."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, great, yeah, cool, bye."
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I mean that also leads into a very, very tedious and mundane talk about distribution of wealth.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that.
Well, no, but just the very. I mean, it's a nuanced topic because there are components of our society that are rigged. Like, to a degree, the financial system is rigged, and it is actually like impossible to a degree for some people to. So that's a different topic. But
Yeah.
but just in general, it's like Charlie Munger. He
Yeah.
was a partner of Warren Buffett. You're the great
Yeah.
investor, and he used to say, "Well, you know what? The best way to get what you want is to deserve it."
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like the distribution of wealth is unfair. It's like, yeah, but if you deserved to be a millionaire, chances are you'd be getting close to being a millionaire.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing that people seem to neglect or dispense with the fact that, and it's funny because, say, before a CEO makes that massive leap into, say, billions or
Yeah,
millions.
see, and that's a little different, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is a lot of the times, these people have earned their way.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
They've earned that money.
Yep.
And then like a socialist will come along and say, oh well, we need distribution of wealth. It's different people should have the money, but you're just running back into that same cycle, that same system, because as soon as someone else has that money,
yeah,
you think they're gonna just give it up.
Exactly.
So
and it goes across all things too. It's like, say, even in the mating world, like in the sexual marketplace, it's like oh well, how do you think? What do you think the best way to get like the girlfriend that you want? Like, what do you think the best way is to have like hot women who want to spend time with you? What if you just deserved it?
Yeah.
What
Right.
what if you were just what if you were just the coolest guy
Yeah.
available? What if you had the most value? You were you were the most assertive. You were the most you know what I mean, the coolest guy. Well, you'd probably deserve the hottest, coolest women.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of people have sort of, what was it, disillusion that they've fallen into, or
Yeah.
maybe it's decadence,
Yeah.
to some degree, envenomance. Like it's not an ideal that we've posited. There's biological factors, and things as profound and complex and intricate as personality that plays such a pivotal constituent factor in your attractiveness.
Yeah.
Right? Now, your features, your definitive features, like you've got a magnificent beard right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
And,
Thank you, sir.
And like things of that nature, right? And actually, assertiveness is a great example, because when you're assertive, okay, it might be a defensive mechanism to hide incompetence.
Yeah.
Or it's assertiveness in authority. And I heard something recently. I think it was from Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Basically espousing the fact that responsibility. People will often go into work, such as myself right now. I have this immense, incalculable amount of responsibility on my shoulders, but with that responsibility, what would you say is analogous to that responsibility? Like, just if you had to
power,
not quite, close to, but authority.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I differentiate power and authority is because I would say that power is tyrannical, authority is competence.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a play on words.
No, that's fair.
You
were the most competent, so therefore you were given the most responsibility.
Right.
Right.
So I uphold that authority, and because I was feeling a bit used and extorted.
Yeah.
Even though I just got back to work.
Yeah.
I've already accrued all this superfluous bullshit. I can't, and I'm not getting paid for it,
Yeah.
So I apparently will be, but
anyway. Yeah, they sometimes like to capitalize on a man's desire for authority.
Yeah.
And sometimes they like to give you like these itty bitty little tiny shreds of authority.
Yeah.
As if, here you go. As if that's gonna make up for it. It's like, we don't need more pay. We'll just give you more authority.
They'll what's up? They'll let you scrape your tongue across the sugar cube and just hope that you get a taste.
There you go. That's all. So anyway.
But anyway, I guess to convolute further into Jung's psychology here of the persona, one of his fundamental points here is it's a universal claim, a pre-cosmogonic realization, and to see what's enshrined in that fundamentally is So there is in this universe a radical and absolute conflict between good and evil, light and darkness that can never be harmonized. Now, I think what that alludes to is the rudimentary claim that we are meant to be the intermediary between good and evil, light and darkness. We're not meant to be one or the other. Okay? Because we're endowed with these innate, intrinsic things that make us our animal, venomous, indignant side, and also endowed with those compassionate proclivities and comforting things, and both could be derived from a biological perspective, of course, but I would say merely predicated upon survival, because we needed to survive in a social setting, in a group.
Yeah.
And then, but we've actually managed to abstract that more and make claims, right? So here we can see that if we're totality, right, we're the conqueror, we're becoming, we're specifically slithering between forethought and joy. We have that battle between us, but if we can contend with it and become integrated subsequently and accept it, right down to our a priori structure, diametrically up to where we sit, through our evolutionary and, let's say, mythological stages of development, and we can bear that responsibility and dispense with the burdensome, unrelinquishing chains of the past and hurtle ourselves into the vast, immense vault of the night sky and realize the immense wisdom in being able to do that. We can never be harmonized completely. We can be lost, metaphysical, subjective. We could be rational, grounded. But there comes the tyrannical being of order, and in both situations, you become stagnant. Right? It's the same thing if you're living in too much chaos. You could be chaotic, your whole life, your whole existence. You could be that accursed, invigiling, pious thing that is hell-bent on destruction, but eventually order finds a way in to trivialize, first and foremost, and then also, besides that point, makes you stagnant again, because eventually you'll become, dispensed with, cast out. You won't be a part of the group. You won't have anything. So either you go completely insane and kill people and you end up in jail, or you die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, like, and there you go, right? It's like there's always reasons for being like at an optimal level of performance.
Yeah.
It's like if you become too far one way or the other, you become suboptimal, and then you get excluded from certain benefits. It's like if you were in a tribe in nature, like a native tribe, and you became like bloated and fat, it would be like a sign that, like, okay, so you hunted your food, and instead of saving the food for the winter, you just ate it all and became fat.
That's right.
It's like, okay, well, there'd be certain like negative side effects to that.
There's consequences.
Yeah, you'd be okay. Well, now you can't hunt because you're so fat and you ate all your food, so you're just gluttonous. Well, and now members of your tribe are going to leave and become part of another tribe.
Right. And this actually leads into the next point quite well.
Yeah.
And because, so say we're consisted of those arbitrary cynical, contradictory things. With You'll notice that people who are purely cynical, they have nothing but pejorative things to say about everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a lavishing hole to be in, pure cynicism, and I would say that unscrupulous, nihilistic state.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that it's something that I've had to learn personally, is that you almost become so comfortable in that state that you want to stay there.
Of course.
It's your niche.
Yeah,
it's your comfort. But it closes so many doors to be enshrined in that perpetual, prolific monolith of nihilism. You're slowly inscribing that dismal and contemptuous things, etching it into stone. It's becoming irrevocable, ineradicable, and indelible to your being. Now, here's the next point. So, to the degree that you condemn others and find evil in others, you are to that degree unconscious of the same thing in yourself, or at least uphold the potentiality of it. So, that being said, when you try to espouse the fact or propound the fact that you don't like this particular arbitrary thing in someone else, as absurd as it may be, a lot of the times people will neglect the fact that maybe it could be a reflection of the fact that that's something that you hate within yourself. Or you don't realize that you have the potential to do that. And in some grandiose meta-narrative, I would say in the macrocosm, this specific thing here is analogous or say imbued with synthesis into our society as a whole. That is what's lingering overhead. We say so often, and you get it on both sides if we use a political political spectrum, whatever the case may be. Precipitously on either side, I don't like them because they're evil and they do this. The other side comes back with the same thing. But they don't. But they don't realize both types are. Well, I won't say both types because there's more than a dual aspect. I would say types, but we are all endowed with the proclivity to be as pernicious and perfidious as each and every single one.
Here, I have a good little point about that too. So you're right about that because that guy, say politically again, that guy on the left, say, who's totally against guns. Guns are evil. Guns are terrible. It's like, yeah, okay, bro, but like inside himself, he knows that if a fucking lion came prowling around his yard, he's too weak and fucking scrawny and stupid to do anything about it. And that's why he's so against thinking about a gun. I don't want to think about guns are bad. It's like, okay, bro, but you also know that within yourself, you're vulnerable in that position because you don't have the strength to kill a lion. So you just don't even want to think about it. And so, I was just gonna add there. So another, the point of it is like, you can have like a rejection of a point. You can have a rejection of something. But you have to recognize how it's within yourself too. So like, say for example, if someone was saying like, well, I eat McDonald's every single day. I eat fast food every single day.
I'm fine.
It's fine. So my reaction to that is like, that's fucking stupid.
Gross.
Like, that's disgusting. But I know within myself, the reason I think it's disgusting is because if I'm not careful, I'll be a stupid dummy like that and eat McDonald's every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, I know that when I say it's dumb, it's because it's like, I have to work hard to not be gross like that. So
well, as abysmal as it is to actually say, partake in that expedient, very short-sighted pleasure of fast food daily.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. Like, we literally could, because I think the main thing that plays a factor, besides they've sort of perfected their taste. We
Right.
know the food tastes. I mean, personally, I don't think it tastes that good.
It's addictive, though.
But it is addictive,
yeah.
and it's cheap.
Yeah.
Right. That's
And
how they made their market.
easy and fast, and it
Yeah.
just
It's like I can go in. I don't have to go home and cook a lovely meal for my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I can just bring her some
Yeah.
appalling dripping and grease burger, and not this beautiful shepherd's pie that I've made.
Nice.
It's sitting in the freezer that I'm gonna cook tonight.
Nice.
Like, oh no, we're gonna have McDonald's.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry your cholesterol is so high
Yeah.
in 10 years time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something else. And you're right though. To buttress your point, they have these satirical dispersions to just sort of pin on everyone else without realizing the potential of it themselves.
For sure.
And it's true.
Yeah, man. It's really true, bro. It's like, we all we all are trying to get to this like more optimal place where we are we are listening to the natural pressures which tell us, oh, I should improve my health, and so that I can get the rewards. And that's where our society's become so crazy, is because it rewards like that's why socialism is such an insane idea, because it it's like no matter how hard you work, you're going to be rewarded the exact same as that guy who never works hard.
That's right. And then think about the revolution that after a year.
Yeah, it's like you don't think there's always going to be people that are going to want to do better, because their biology is telling them to do better, because their biology knows that they're going to get rewarded.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, is that these innate vicissitudes that we have to uphold. Well, I mean, our conditions, psychophysiologically, almost have to be perfect for us, for our bodies to operate adequately. And that's even down to, if we want to get into biological terms, the limbic system, that primordial, archaic, deeply rooted system. A good analogy of that's the tree, and I'll say as a bit of a precursor, a precept to that, and I think this is right in saying that, I think this is something that Jung had said was, the tree has to be so deeply rooted that its roots must touch hell before it can ascend to heaven.
That's right.
Now, within each and every one of us, we have this intrinsic system merely predicated on chaos, which is in the limbic system itself, the amygdala, the hypothalamus. These things are say our chaotic element, right? They're instinctual, yes, but they're so complex, and they outweigh the prefrontal cortex by an insurmountable amount, right? Like, they're just so vast, and they establish our goals, but even besides that, they're so enshrined in chaos, right? And at the base, say, that chaos is nested in the roots, and it comes up to the upper parts of our brain, and it branches off and into the potential for benevolence and order. But we have to have the right conditions for that. You know what I mean? And so when we're not in that, we're constantly contending with, again, cortisol levels,
Uh,
so things of that nature. That self-destructive, um, you know, chemical
uh,
in the body.
uh,
It accrues and it it maligns you,
mm.
and it grounds you to the degree that something could rapaciously cling to your legs and augur you into hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No, for sure. We whatever we're wherever our roots are, it's
Yeah.
like it's like you need to get down, as you said, Young talked about, like, down kind of, you need to be in contact kind of with hell in a way, like with the horror of it all, with the like brutality of reality. You need to
Yeah.
be engaged with that and understand what that is.
Right.
And
Exactly.
from there you can grow up and then be attached to heaven as well,
Yeah.
because
Well,
you
you get the
understand.
sunlight then.
Yeah, you can get the sunlight because you understand what the opposite is down there. It's like, and that's where, again, so much of the society now, it's so detached
They are
from
disembodied completely
from
from the
from
reality.
from the like hell. It's not even hell. It's just like, it's like what it really takes to
Yeah.
hunt down a an elk. What it really takes to hunt down an elk with a spear.
Those things don't want to die.
They don't want to die. And it's going to take something for you to hunt that with a spear in fucking winter, when that thing's running low on food and is desperate. And it's like, that's just pure evolutionary fucking reality right
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
And when you take that out of the equation, you need to find a way to replace that with something else that's going to keep you in touch with that. And if you don't, that's where you're going to get a reality where someone can spend 12 hours a day on Twitter being hysterical, and it's like, that's going to be okay. That's the like, that organism would never exist within nature, but our society breeds that like fucking crazy.
I'm curious to. I'm going to address that, but I just wanted to tell you this one more thing, because I was reading this very great article. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you if you want to read it.
All right.
Because it's called, so the limbic system and the basal ganglia. So they've classified it as LSBG, and so the LSGB. I got that backwards. BG occupy three levels of interrelated activities or levels, and they are behavioral, neural, and cognitive. Right? And the thing is that that is such a large portion of us that these systems process and control to some degree. That, I mean, first of all, our behavioral. Okay, that's instantiated or substantiated from the limbic system. The limbic system is merely predicated, not, well, actually, I wouldn't be so conducive with this, but to some exactitude, if it's controlling our behavior, well, that means our behavior is from a standpoint of emotion. Emotion volatile. Bless you.
Thank you.
And it's not only volatile, but it's also, well, I guess just it's unstable. Okay. So neural connections that run deep are fundamentally, like I said before, instantiated in that perverse chaotic element. So moving up from a neural level, we're starting with that that chaotic survival instinct. And then cognitive, the way that we perceive things. Those are three large chunks of what we are, derived from a system that's animalistic.
Yes.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. We're animals,
anyway.
bro.
Right.
We're animals. We operate on these. The basics of how we operate are very simple. So when you get lost from those, And as we said,
Yeah.
when you're not hunting that elk in winter through the woods,
Yeah.
and you don't know what that's like, you're lost from what you really are. So you have to replace that with something else, or you're going to be in all kinds of trouble.
Right. Well, and I think I may have alluded to this our last talk, but
Mm.
I just wanted to bring that picture, this representation, again. Our a priori structure um, is so complex, and I like to use an analogy of a picture frame, where the picture frames are a priori, bare bones, skeletal structure to some degree, and it's our responsibility and I would say, our life's work to create that picture, to inculcate and imbue and emulate things, and incrementally piece it together, piece by piece. It's like a puzzle.
Mm.
And it might not ever be complete. There might always just be that one piece missing, because we're never going to be omniscient. We're never going to be so transcendent and transient, or say be a transcendent arbiter of value, right? We're never going to be God, or a god or a goddess, but we each are endowed with that life work to see our framework, our potential, our potentiality, say, and build from it, predicated on us, instantiated from the very core of our being, and working upwards. Because a vast majority of my life, say, to get into say, reverting back to that Genesis, that primordial pre-cosmogonic thing of myself, to see what I contend with day to day in my own mind, these prolific, grotesque ideations that manifest themselves, that are merely bent on the destruction of me. Like they're saying to me constantly,
fuck it up.
Yeah, fuck up. Just you've always fucked up, so fuck up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
And they're arguing and driving, and there are these precipitous voices. I'm not going to say schizophrenic, but
no.
it could be close.
No, they encourage you to ruin it. Like, why not just ruin it? Just wreck it.
Yeah.
Just ruin it. Ruin that relationship. Just
it's
fucking
easier.
Yeah, just wreck it.
Yeah.
Ruin it.
Because they feed and fuel off.
They love it.
Not sympathy, right?
They love it.
It's not sympathy. It's what empathy, right? Yeah. They want to be drowned and adorned, and they want to be venerated and pious, right?
Yeah.
And so we contend with this stuff day to day, and if we don't have some rudimentary way to do that, and some would argue, oh well, it's must be easier for you because I'm this and I'm that. It's like, but have you tried?
Yeah.
Have you really tried?
And wouldn't it be even? And that's the thing with the. It's like, man, it's so much easier to just believe that, oh, he's cut from a different cloth than me. Sure. It came easy for him. He's different than me. But imagine the alternative. Imagine if it wasn't easier for him. Right. Imagine if he just step by step, moment by moment, day by day, took these little, tiny, insignificant fucking course corrections towards the kind of person that he wanted to be and towards the kind of person that you want to be. You just don't want to take those itty-bitty little steps. And the reality is, from what I can see, for the most part, that is actually how it works.
Right. And that's so true. That's so true. Those incremental steps towards progress are imperative. Yeah. I mean, we constantly, perpetually find ourselves in that dismal disarray, disorder, and it's a shame to see, because we eventually become so absolutely enshrined or lost in that, which leaves you bereft of sense and logic and reason. And you don't get to enjoy those trivial, nonsensical things, which is something that I've had trouble with, because up until this point of my life, I've always focused on these grandiose things that are so immense, and they're like an abyss. They're in the surfeit of the soul and psyche, and I've just realized quite recently, that convoluting into these things it hurdles you into the starry vault of the night sky with no tether, no ground.
Yeah.
You're just subject.
Right.
But then you never really take a look. You don't have a moment where, like, I look here and I can see Luke, a brother, a friend, or if I'm looking into the beautiful blue eyes of my girlfriend, you try to look more into it. You never just say, "Oh, those are beautiful eyes,"
right.
Or, the soul is such a vast thing, and you're never going to have all the answers, and that's something that people somewhat vehemently but adamantly say to me all the time. Like, you're ruminating these sublime things, and sometimes it's inconsequential. It's not implacable. It's not palpable. There's nothing for you to grasp. You're grabbing at a surfeit of the soul, literally an abyss.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, man. It's true. It's like this giant cathedral. Imagine that when I build this giant cathedral, how beautiful it will be. But also, it's like there's another guy who's just putting each brick down.
Yeah.
And then he's just putting the next brick down, and that's all. And he's not spending any time thinking about it when it's done. He took just right at the beginning, he drew the plans up. He goes, yeah, it's going to look like this. I'm going to put it together like that, and it's going to be built. And once he did that, he just said, cool, brick by brick.
There you go. That's right.
By brick.
He built it.
He just hit the bricks. And, like, that's the thing, man. It's like, yeah, it's like there's a certain like there's a certain just like honor, man, and like a certain respect that's just like each brick, and and knowing that, like, it's cool that you have these grandiose ideas, right? Because it's always going to push you towards new creations and towards that next cathedral. It's like, it's like Josh is never ever going to run out of another grandiose idea for a beautiful cathedral. It's like, that's awesome, right? And then it's like there's another guy, that brick by brick guy, where he might not have any imagination.
Right.
And he might only be going brick by brick, building these little tiny brick houses, these fucking brick outhouses, these little brick washrooms. And then
something minuscule.
Yeah, something minuscule. And it's like that guy, he could use a little grandioseness. It's like, dude, take a day off from laying bricks and just daydream.
Have a day to think.
Have a day to think. Right. So it's, you got to bring these two, and that's, as we talked about at the beginning, is trying to bring these things together.
Right.
And get to that optimal level.
You get to abridge these things. And actually, the next few points, I'll read a couple in succession. So,
man.
Because I think that both these actually, again, allude right to where we're at. So after to the degree that you condemn others and find evil in others, you are to that degree unconscious of that same thing. So then they project their darkness onto others, but the evil is as much in himself or herself as it is in the other. In order to admit, accept, and understand the evil that resounds within oneself, one must be able to do it without being an enemy to it. You must accept your own dark side. It should be preeminent, however. Most people are unconscious to it. And the next 2 points. Those who project the devil, so that archetypal evil, the dual aspect of God, say, or the perfect ideal, within themselves always act violently, vehemently, and in animosity towards others. And here, an integrated person was not simply someone who rids himself or eliminates a sense of guilt, shame, or anxiety from his existence, who is fearless and a sage of stone, but feels these things and has no recrimination against feeling such things.
Huh.
Right.
I like that saying, a sage of stone.
Yeah. Well, that's something...
Did you come up with that?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
I like it, though.
Me too.
All right.
I think it... No, I didn't.
Okay.
I will tell you, though, something that that reverberates through my mind is... that's a beautiful way of actually articulating it. But, I've always had the idea of being a stone. And so basically, I've got Nietzsche was saying something like, one must first become a stone. So
yeah,
you can take in and give back. What does a stone give back besides maybe just someone to listen, something to listen to? You can talk at a stone and it won't pass judgment. Right. But
yeah, that's cool, man. Sage of stone. Yeah. No, I like that concept.
Yeah. I like it too. It's important.
Sage of stone, bro. It's like there's you're right, there is kind of like another component of it. That's kind of speaking to some duality right there. Like, be a sage of stone, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Be a sage of stone.
Yeah.
I would also add to that, like, perhaps the stone could also be sculpted into some type of statue which is aesthetically pleasing or serves some purpose. In fact,
right.
A sage of stone is a great thing to sit there, but I would also argue that, imagine if it was a statue that symbolized something that could be valuable to others. So I like that. I'm actually going to write that down. Sage of stone. I like that concept.
I think Jung may have actually.
Okay.
I don't said that. So a lot of these notes I took when I was reading.
Yeah.
What I did was I took, I wrote the note, and then I'd change it.
But we all do that, man. It's like we all do that.
Better.
We all take the ideas that we come up with and then we make them our own. We put them together. It's,
Well, it's so much easier to remember them if you take a sentence and then you do a little footnote of your interpretation.
Yeah, man.
I enjoyed that Sage of Stone. So
yeah. Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Fuck it.
Yeah, it's dope.
But yeah. So right. And I think the best thing, in those last few points was not only accepting the darkness that, say, resounds or reverberates within each and every one of us. Like, it's important. It is.
Yeah.
And those who project the devil, they're violent, vehement, which is, again, true. But I think the concept of utmost importance is that integrated person, right? You don't rid yourself of these idiosyncrasies unnecessarily. I would say that that's to your peril. And this, you could even go back to a Freudian observation. That's where that idea of repression comes in. But I'm like, the more you repress these things, the worse they get. They don't want to be contended with. They don't want to be dispensed with or proverbially sacrificed.
Yeah.
There is a sacrificial element to, say, capitulating with them. But the thing is that when you do capitulate or recapitulate, you immolate, you go through those processes, and what you do is you try to hear them out. You think, why is this, say something's bothering you? You try to maybe write. If you can't write, maybe you'll see something in dream, or a thought will just emerge to you, right? And that concept there is so vast about things emerging to someone, and so you just have to think and convolute and abstract with these things and say, why am I like this? Why am I feeling this way? Do I need to be feeling this way? There's a model in a CBT. It's an ABC model. I forget what A stands for, but I think it's effect, maybe, belief, and consequences. A lot of people just go from A to C.
Is it action? Is the A for
action? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
So they go from their action, and they just go straight to consequences. They don't try to reflect or circumambulate on the belief of why they're acting in that manner. So they just punch forward to, I can't believe you said that. You're wrong. You're an idiot. You're an imbecile. They just...
You're racist.
Yeah.
That's the one these days. You're racist.
Yeah, that's it.
I like Indian food. You're racist.
Racist, yeah.
I don't like Chinese food. That's racist.
Yeah. You can't say that. I guess I can.
What kind of ice cream would you like? Vanilla? That's fucking racist.
Yeah, it's white.
Yeah. It's like, again, that's just like action straight through to yeah, like you said, consequence, whatever, yeah.
Exactly.
It's like there's no time for the behavior part. It's like, or belief, sorry. It's like people don't want to hear that. And you know what? That's the thing. It's like, even, I know it's a little side point, but I just thought about that. That's the thing, like with social media and stuff. It's like, it just takes that right out of the picture. It's just like people just, they just skip over it. Like, it's just like, Trump's terrible and wants to kill your family. It's like, how did you come up with that?
Yeah. Like, the man himself, he says he can be atrocious.
Oh, yeah. No, he says dumb stuff.
It's like, nobody's arguing that.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Just get off
Twitter. Get off Twitter for fucking 10 minutes. It's like, we all know. It's like, yes, I mean, Trump is not the most fucking, like, eloquent. Yeah, he's not the most, like, eloquent, and, like, he's probably not the fucking smartest guy ever. Like,
no, he's a pragmatist.
Yeah, he's a bit crude. The guy's a bit crude. It's like, but realistically, like, what do you want, man? That's just the kind of guy he is, man. Like, he's not an evil fucking monster. He's just, he's just maybe not the kind of guy you'd want to hang out with. Okay. Yeah. That's fine.
Exactly.
Someone else would like to hang out with him. Whatever.
Well, it's, and the same could be said about so many. Same could be said about everyone. Really.
For sure. It's like not everyone's gonna not everyone's gonna like us. Like, well, you guys just want to talk about like philosophical stuff. That's boring. It's like, okay, go watch a different video. You don't have to watch this one. Like, I'm not fucking forcing you to watch it. Like,
well, and the thing is too, I would say dispensing with it regardless of enjoyment. And well, I mean, we might not have the credentials behind us, but the fact that we have our I would say an astute catalyst of interpretation is enough to, I mean, I can accept the fact that out of all of the things that I say, could be, and there's a good chance that I'm wrong.
It could be.
Right?
Could be.
But if I can provoke thought, right? If I can espouse the fact that my life's work is to abstract and elicit, and I would even say maybe fornicate a philosophy of good and evil, and to show that that is such such an incalculable fantastic way of dealing with life as a whole.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because when you have that philosophy from an epistemological, existential sort of viewpoint, you can really take a step back and try to not only comprehend, but completely, say, disseminate someone's reactions, right? Because that's what we deal with a lot of the time, is people's reactions to what we say and what we do. But you have to think, and that CBT model is a perfect explanation. I mean, I would say it's a little too rational for me to say it's a concrete thing, because I truly believe that there's more aspects than our rational bias, I guess. But you have to be able to dispense with the fact and convolute with people and say, you're feeling this way. This is ancient. This is archaic. It's primeval. It's worse than that. It's been around since the beginning. You have predispositions and presuppositions that you can't substantiate beyond the fact that you don't like it. But I can contend with that because I realize that idiosyncrasies are so intricate and complex and vast, and they hold such sway over people, right? But with that philosophy of good and evil, like Solzhenitsyn said about that line of good and evil that runs down every single person's heart.
It would be easy if the line between good and evil could be drawn, and the evil people put into a camp over there, and the good people put over here.
And then,
but it doesn't work like that. The line runs between a man's soul, and that's the thing. And like even what you were saying is just like a reaction, and that's why people like are so against Trump a lot of the times. And I don't really care about politics; it doesn't fucking matter to me. But people just, they don't even. It's just like, he's a rich man who isn't interested in listening to me being fucking hysterical. And then like, he's bad. It's like, but in reality, it's like, maybe he doesn't need to listen to you. Like, he shouldn't. It's like, so say like someone like Trump, like that's, say he's however he got the money, it doesn't matter. Like, he's a rich and powerful man. Like, a result of that, a benefit of being a rich and powerful man is he doesn't have to listen to someone who's fucking angry and hysterical and upset about things. Like, that's the benefit of him having that success, is he can just ignore you. He's like, oh, I'm not interested in that. I don't care about your cat. I don't care what your fucking cat did yesterday.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I would say, one of the hardest things to copulate, I would say, is there's very few, say, canonical truths or axioms when it comes to, say, personality or humanity as a whole. But the fact that I would say we perjure our beliefs, or they're very congruent or consistent with the fact that we don't recognize when we're espousing, our own ideas or the ideas of others.
Yeah.
Right? And those are two very different things.
Yeah.
When it comes to the political landscape, people are so trapped and blind within the parameters of ideology.
Big time.
And I don't like the political debate, the conversation, and I guess the one thing that I would like to improve or work on in that sphere is, well, we put everything aside. We put the debate aside. We put the rhetoric, the incendiary, outlandish things emanating from both left, right, center, wherever. I say we're all responsible as a totality, as a collective unconscious. We're all responsible for the goings on of the world. A lot of people would disagree and say, "Oh well, personally, I didn't do this, I didn't do that," and I understand you're individually exempt from the collective to the degree that you're your own universe in your own world. But if we all don't take responsibility for the appalling atrocities of the greater universe, say, or just the world itself, nothing is ever going to become different. You know, the political landscape is so misconstrued in a vast plane of carnage, literally.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if something is truly wrong with it, which there is, then we can no longer negate it, right? And it's coming from both sides, whether it be
for sure.
something Bernie Sanders says or Trump or Joe Biden, right?
Sleepy Joe. Have you heard Trump call him Sleepy Joe?
Yeah.
I love when Trump comes up with these nicknames for people. It's so fucking funny.
He's definitely a character, right?
He just comes up with the most like basic thing that you would say on at the fucking lunch table to some fucking you know, to some fucking to some guy in your class, like, "Oh, Sleepy Joe." What do you call Hillary? Crooked Hillary.
He was probably that dick in the back of class.
For sure.
Sitting with one other rich white kid.
For sure.
Look at his jumper. He's got fucking it's green.
Fucking green. Poor fucking Billy up there with his fucking poor shoes. Billy need help. I brought you a juice pack. He fucking throws the juice pack at him. It fucking splatters on his head.
Yeah, like, and that's one thing that it's nice to just be able to laugh at.
It's funny. Like, it's funny. Like, that's the thing too, right? It's like people can't these days, like, it's like when something's funny, it's fucking funny. Like, why you upset about it? It's like you're trying to tell me that Trump fucking calling Joe Biden, like a 70-year-old fucking politician who's worth probably millions of dollars, calling him fucking Sleepy Joe? Like, you're trying to tell me that's not funny? A full-grown fucking politician who's president of the United States and worth like $1 billion. He's calling another man a fucking nickname that you...
He's just a big man child.
He's hilarious, bro. He just makes up names for people out of nowhere. He called that one girl Pocahontas.
Oh, Jesus.
He called some girl Pocahontas or something. Like, it's fucking hilarious. It's like, you know, it's like you trying to tell me that's not funny? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
Social media, obviously.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not saying it's not fucked up, but it's still funny.
Yeah. Well, you know, here's something. So now we're kind of getting into the facade of the persona, the mask of who we are.
Persona, Latin for mask.
Right.
Person, yeah.
And so behind this element, behind this facade, there's an element of that reconstructed past self. Not to be condemned, but recognized as a rudimentary role. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate. All conflict, all opposition has its resolution in an underlying unity. To be and not to be. Good and evil. Right? We're breaking it down to that fundamental basis yet again. You know, what is a reconstructed past self? What does it mean to not to be condemned, but recognized as a rudimentary role. What does that mean?
Mm.
The propulsion from the past, you hear the cliched statement, your past has made you what you are today. There's so much to it. There's so much. And so all conflict, all opposition has its resolution in an underlying unity. Like I was just saying. We utilize the fact that an underlying unity could be the answer. Now, that is such, you'll never get 7 billion people minus however many million now on board with an underlying unity, with a grandiose narrative, unless it's beneficial to each and every single individual. Right? Now, that is such a meta-narrative that we could probably convolute and abstract that for hours on end. But I think more important, the facade, the persona or the personality. Jung said, there was a personality type of like his one and his two. And eventually those evolved or transmuted into things like, for instance, a doctor. A doctor acts like a doctor. But when you're acting like a doctor, there's eventually going to be a point where the person who you really are is going to come forward. But it's like a completely different person talking. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I'm doctor. I'm dressed as a doctor. I talk like a doctor. I talk about doctoral things.
Yeah.
But then you peel off that mask at some point, and now I'm Josh. I'm an asshole. I'm a plethora, a myriad of these nested things.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a good topic. It's a great thing.
Like also like. There's always something about that guy, man. That fucking doctor guy. When he's like dresses himself up and now he's in his doctor mode. There's always something that you're kind of just like, ugh, come on, dude. Like I always get that feeling when it's like I've noticed that a lot now with this stupid coronavirus thing. It's like a lot of times I'll go in a store and it's like there's an employee at fucking some store at the mall for and it's like you open up the door, you go in and they're like, hello, welcome to our store. We have new guidelines. Now, what we want you to do is take a minute, just read these, and like everyone stays 6 feet apart. It's like it's like that guy's chance to put on a fucking song and dance for you.
Follow the sign.
Follow the sign and follow the words and follow this and go like this. It's like wash your hands. It's like it's his fucking turn to like be the little fucking I'm the center of attention. And it's like, what the... So you work here at the fucking mall, and you get your little hit of authority, one person at a time, and it's like, it's just so pathetic, and it's like, that doctor guy, he's just another version of that.
Yeah.
He's just a higher version of it. It's like, oh, he doesn't just work at the mall during coronavirus, he's a doctor during coronavirus.
Yeah.
And you see that, man, with this whole thing. It's like, if you ever look at the TV, which I rarely do, you'll see more fucking doctor and politician chodes on there. It's like, it's their big chance to fucking shine. Oh, we're going to move things over here. And tomorrow you're allowed to wear fucking, you don't have to wear a mask, but next week you still have to wash your hands. It's like, it's just their chance to like, to push a little fucking authority. It's just hilarious. Like, we're so funny as people, man.
Yeah, it's true. At some point, people will be able to look outside of the parameters of all of this and just eventually see like what narrative or dialogue has changed or shifted. It's just paradigmatic shift, and all of these things are arduous, erroneous, enigmatic things, and we'll see eventually. We'll be able to look at a compilation of years gone by and be like, this happened here, and you can see where people, like different people, uprising people, maybe staked a claim or instantiated some type of thing.
Yes. And
Gonna be interesting.
Yeah. And it's like that guy who was at the mall telling you to wash your hands. It's like
Yeah.
he's the exact same guy who was fucking directing the witches during the Salem witch trial. He was like, "All right, you're a witch. Everyone, let me, over here with the witches, and let me just, I want all the witches are gonna have to stand over here, and we're gonna execute you in 10 minutes." And he's just that. It's just his time to shine. He's like, "I'm the Inquisitor, and I've decided that you're a witch, and you will be drowned, and then when you come in the mall, you wash your hands." And it's just like this same idiots just throughout time, and like, and that's the thing. It's like that's what we have now in society. It's like we just have an entire society built on fucking, just that. Like we're all just fucking everyone's just being burned at the stake. That's all we do. We just burn everyone at the stake. Like I'm sure during this video we've already said enough shit to be fucking shamed for one reason or another. Like shit I don't even know about yet. You have a fucking beard. You called his when you told Luke his beard was nice, and you didn't recognize the fact that he didn't want you to comment on his beard because he doesn't identify as a fucking beard guy. He likes his hair better. It's like what the fuck is this? Like
well, it's interesting conceptually to think about what we call that, being subject to rhetoric as well.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it, actually.
And when we're in it, when we're talking, and I like to clarify or illuminate or elucidate this quite frequently. I'm not here, like on your platform, say, to I'm not here to trigger people or offend people. And if you get offended or triggered, so be it.
Yeah, that's okay.
But give me an ample reason. Tell me where I'm wrong, why I'm wrong, and I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And I'll come back and I'll say, you know what?
Maybe.
Right. But one thing that I will never do is apologize for espousing my ideas.
Yeah.
Ever.
100%.
I will never say I'm sorry. Now, if I'm blatantly...
Yeah, you made a serious error, perhaps.
Right. Like, if I said something so grotesque, malevolent, I would... And maybe I didn't recognize it.
Yeah. That's different.
I'd come back and be like, okay.
That's different.
Sorry.
That's different.
Right? There has to be some sincerity.
For sure. No, it's like you legitimately didn't realize, actually, I am really sensitive about my beard because it took me a long time, blah, blah, blah. It's like, legitimately, hey, you didn't... It's like, okay, that's a little different. You could be like, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't quite realize... It's like, okay, cool. We're civilized people. We can fucking agree on that. Like,
right.
But like...
Exactly.
But in terms of, like, someone being, like, offended and triggered, it's like, man, you know what? Like, not everyone's gonna fucking... get along all the time. Like we have to be willing to like you're gonna offend people at times.
That's the antithesis of being itself.
I'm sure the lion didn't mean to offend the fucking gazelle when he ate it.
Well,
right.
But here's an interesting point too about the self. So trying to imbue the self and trying to give the living reality of the self that constant attention is like living on two levels simultaneously. There are two reasons why man loses touch with or interconnectivity or the regulating center of his soul/psyche. One is that the single instinctive drive or emotional image can carry him, this is very important, into one-sidedness, which is analogous to animals as well. Animals are enshrined in that one-sidedness. Okay, so, and this is a constituent role in Jung's psychology here. Excessive daydreaming is another factor. Daydreams arise because they connect people with their complexes. And these complexes are quasi-autonomous, right? They're enshrined, augured deeply within us, and you can think of them as subpersonalities. I think that's more of a Jungian, Freudian idea first and foremost. But there is a danger in. Sorry, 1 second. I tried to plug my phone in here and see if it's charging. Okay, there we go. So, shit. So, where'd it go? So, there is a danger to concentration and continuity of his consciousness. So the ego will find an inner power when the self emerges that contains all the possibilities of renewal. Okay. So, right. So we can break that down into these levels, simultaneous levels that are. It's a strange thing, but they're, say, bifurcated or dichotomized, but work symbiotically to sort of ameliorate one another. Okay? So when you lose that interconnectivity or the regulating center of one's soul and you move into one-sidedness, right? So say you've dispensed with emulating the whole, you find yourself doing trivial, nonsensical things, most likely. You find yourself immersed in this world that's bereft of sense. It's nihilistic. It's all contemptuous. You're not getting back from what you're putting out in the world. And then, like we actually, a great example, what you were talking about, that one who's just laying brick by brick, not having that time to daydream. He's enshrined in that one-sidedness, right? He's the beast. He's just that one-track mind focused on, I just got to get this job done and move on to the next one and live a plain, boring life. But then, if he took a moment to daydream and connect with those complexes, those idiosyncrasies, then he could realize that there's more to the cyclical universe, that cosmogony that's enshrined in each and every one of us. And then, so with the ego, to find that inner power when the self emerges, because the self will be an overwhelming factor, right? And see, Jamie, and so if it contains all the possibilities of renewal, what that means is we have to actually allow ourselves to become embedded in that for a short period of time or a vast period of time, but we need to actually allow it to be, right? Sometimes we just have to be, because we will lose touch, right?
Like, have you read George Orwell's 1984?
I've read George Orwell's Road to Wigan Pier, but I haven't picked up that book yet.
Oh, okay. Well, there's one character, I think he's called Boxer the horse, and he is that kind of like just only brick by brick. He's this big giant workhorse, and he really can't have like complex thoughts in his mind. So he just was like, well, I'll just work harder. I'll just pull more weight, and it just shows how that's not really enough.
It's not sufficient.
No, it's not enough. It's like, I'll just lay one brick by one brick. It's like, but you're spending your whole life building fucking just a brick wall around your farm. It's like you could have built something magnificent with a little imagination, right? So.
Well, that's right. You could have inculcated meaning into your life to countervail those tragic and appalling preconditions at the fundament of our being. That emerge, right?
The fucking tragic and appalling preconditions. The tragic and appalling preconditions of life.
Yeah,
that's it. I like that, man. I love that.
Well, and that's an idea, sort of. Well, if we go down the line, we see it not necessarily in Mesopotamia, but when we get into like the Hindu and Buddhist religions,
Hmm.
we can see that they start to address that nature a bit, right?
Hmm.
Like, not so much in the Egyptian pathologies or mythology, but really in Buddhism especially. It's that battle with the Leviathan, or that um, insidious antithesis of the self.
Hmm.
And actually a good point to buttress that is, so the dark side of the self is the most primordial,
Hmm.
first deadly part of the self.
Hmm.
It is marked by impetus and has the capability to cripple and dismember you. It can cause you to spin. Um, a new word that I've learned: megalomaniac,
Hmm.
megalomania maybe,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
other delusive fantasies. So stay emotionally inside oneself.
Hmm.
That is such a destructive thing.
Hmm.
But I didn't quite understand or realize the utility of portraying emotion. Actually, I didn't realize how good it felt to confide my emotions into someone else.
Hmm.
You know, and I think that that's a pinnacle, or quite eminent, or even preeminent thing that really, crippled my or dismembered me in a lot of the things that I've done,
Hmm.
because I could never articulate, or I didn't want to articulate how I was feeling,
Hmm.
right? Instead, I would just trap myself in my room and listen to, like, well, started off with rock, like some Guns N' Roses, Deep Purple, shit
Mm-hmm.
like that, Led Zeppelin,
Mm-hmm. I see
or
that.
but then of course it got much heavier.
Oh, geez.
I rock and roll, the saying sex, drugs, and rock and roll, like, rock and roll is a drug, and you
I
just keep
agree.
getting heavier and
I
heavier.
agree. It is. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
It's. I've noticed that too over time. Like, it's like I agree with that. Like, it's like a product. It's like an entertainment product. It's
Oh,
like you don't need that much of it.
no.
You don't need, but like once or like a couple songs a fucking week is plenty.
Yeah.
That's all you
Oh,
need.
yeah.
That's all you need, man. It's like
True.
yeah. So I agree.
But yeah. So with that primordial thing, like, the one thing that people, like, when I talk about this, a lot of people look at me with um, that what's that kerfuffled look of awe and confusion. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? About, like, what does that mean? How is it the most primordial, perverse part of the self? But it's like, well, what's older, me or aggression? What's older, me or murderous rage, which is still aggression? I don't know why I said that twice. But what's older, me or the complete emotional stratum,
Mm.
right? That dark side of the self, that murderous killing thing. What is older? I mean, because it's even older than our prefrontal cortex, right? And so that antithesis of self, that leviathan, that's, say, um, at the either at the gate of our labyrinth-like structure, or lingering with gaping jaw in a trap door, waiting for you to fall into it.
Mm.
It's always been there and will forever be there, and it's old,
Mm.
older than us.
Mm.
You like to think of the Ouroboros, that self-sufficient, round. That's what it's like to be addressed as, that round totality of being, which actually alludes to the next bullet point a bit.
Mm.
It's there's an embryonic stage where we're nested in that nothingness, but unbeknownst or misbegotten to people, these preconditions already exist when we're born. Like, we are going to be an insufficient being upon arrival into this earth.
Sure.
Now, people say, "Oh, well, we learn our complexes. We learn these." To some degree, we do. But there's also intrinsic things like rage and aggression. They exist and they're real. They're archaic. And that self-sustaining Ouroboros, Jack Donovan made some great points about this.
Love
you know, um, you know, in order to rekindle that and become that once again, you have to move out of the infantile embryonic stage, which is a bit of a pathological side of the Ouroboros, right? It's very, it's a very dense subject.
What was he saying about that?
So I think what he was alluding to in that was essentially he was making it equivocal to the sovereignty of the individual, right?
Yeah.
And that's essentially what it is. That's its representation after its embryonic stage, which is the pathological egocentric sphere of children. Then you grow out of it, and it's also the dependent on the great mother archetype, or just your mother in general. And if you never move out of it, then you remain in that. But I think Jack Donovan was saying more or less, it's the representation of what it means to be self-sufficient, wholly integrated, and to be a sovereign individual.
Yeah.
I think that was actually one of his lectures at
21 Convention?
Yeah, 21 Convention.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what he was.
Cool.
Right. And so now what that plays into is the archetype of the self. So what the self is what you are in totality. So the self as a total is what you are now, plus the total of all the things you could be. And I think something I neglected to say in this bullet point was what you were as well. Okay. So we don't understand the idea of potential today, because potential, virtually by definition, is not yet manifest. Also, not a straightforward thing to measure or conceptualize. Everyone acts as if we have unrealized potential, but it's expressed symbolically. You very seldom gain until you've let something go, and that is the idea of sacrifice. So partly of what you already assume could be the worst impediment that you have to learning something new. So if we can't dispense with the things that we've accrued and learned, or our, say, our nurture versus our nature, if we can't say, I don't want to be like this anymore because it puts me in this type of way, it ruins my relationships, it makes me feeble and weak and denigrated and resentful, and I can't let go of it, then you're never going to grow. Right? And that's why it's good to be able to dispense with it, because it's I think another good way is Freud's observation on the phenomena of sacrifice. And of course he is very interested with the parental role. And so he says many parents, mothers in particular, because of their tight bond with children, it's particularly hard to let the idea of the child go, right? So that an adult can be in its place, you know what I mean? So, a bit of a precursor to the archetype of the self. But if we never unmask or unveil the past and our soul remains trapped there, then we never exceed or succeed in finding our new potential.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I know there was like some debate about that in like the spiritual community, like whether you should do like shadow work or whatever it's called. But I totally agree with you. Like, if you can't go in and like deal with all those old patterns, you're never gonna figure anything out. You it's like you can't just be like, oh, that was nothing. I'm forgetting about it. It's
No,
nothing.
that's right.
It's like, no, it's still affecting you, man. You have to process through it and work it out.
Well, and like Freud said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
That's true. I mean, yes.
But, you know, that's the thing about the psychological literature on this to abridge more of a rational basis into this. If something's still bothering you after 18 months,
yeah,
it's a problem.
It's a problem. It's something. And it's like you can see that in people where they're like, it's just like they let that stuff go in other parts of their life too.
Right.
It's like, no, it's not a big deal. Like, I don't care about that. Like, it'll be fine.
Right.
It's like, no, it won't be fine. It's like, oh, things in my relationship, oh, they're fine. It's no big deal. It's like, no, it's a big deal, man. Like, you need to sort that out or it's going to be a problem.
That's right. That's right. And that's the thing that when it comes to that reflection, when it comes to that, what I want to say, prevaricating being, that thing that denies and omits, and it's so prominent and it's so easy to trigger, especially in relationships.
Yeah.
Because often you get so volatile and neurotic, or at least if you are a neurotic person.
Yeah, it brings it up, man.
It does. It lashes out. It's that like I said in our last video about you hanging on the branches. This is more of people taking advantage of you, I suppose, but at least that's how I look at it. You've got the mice gnawing at the vines. You've got the dragon waiting at the bottom. You don't notice the mice. You don't notice the dragon. You're just trying to get a few licks of honey. But the thing is that there's a bigger picture than your needs or wants just to get that honey.
Yes. Yes.
You need to open your eyes to the fact that you could be doing something so oblivious to, say, your girlfriend, or something you're saying or doing is, very offensive or what have you. And if you can't be, I would say, maybe mature enough or humble enough to maybe think, okay, if I want this relationship to work, then I might have to take a step back. And of course, they may have to take a step back too. Right?
Like, I just want the honey. She's hot. She's hot. This girl's hot. It's like, I just want the honey. I just want the honey. Yeah. And it's, I just want the honey. It's like, and see, that happens all the time, right? And it's like, that happens with guys all the time. And it's like hard to get a hold of that guy and be like, dude, look up here, man. Wake up, dude. Look up here. There's mice. They're gnawing through this thing. This relationship's going to go to hell, bro. And you're just you're going to get swallowed up by that dragon, bro. And it's a real issue. And you know what, man? It's 100% true, and that's why you don't want to be reliant on that honey. You want to get real good. At foregoing that honey.
That's right.
Just like, you know what? I'll forego that. I see the honey. I see it, and it does look good, but I'm actually just gonna forego that honey because, you know what? I really can't be sure right now if there's mice up there. It looks like there might be mice up there gnawing on the rope.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to forego this until I can really be sure. Yeah, that's where you want to be, right?
Well, that's right. That's a whole thing with delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of these things are just so pivotal. They're precepts, quintessential things that a lot of people don't look towards. Like, for instance, if there's no reciprocity in your relationship, now there's circumstances provided, and I think a lot of people, such as myself, you know, I thoroughly enjoy. I would say maybe taking on my biological role of provider. You know, I enjoy it. I get some gratification out of it. There's reciprocity. I'm getting something in return. And I enjoy it. You know, it's not a matter of I'm being naively distorted or extorted or controlled. It's like it's none of that. You know, what it is the fact that I'm willing to. Well, it's akin to a game. That's our lives are a game. We have to be fun and have fun, but also be serious. We have to contend with the hard times and the rough times. We have to be willing to dispense with or let go of those underpinning things that are dismal and arbitrary and very inconsequential to a proper symbiotic relationship. And that's not only true with, say, my girlfriend and I. It's true with you and I. It's true with my good brothers from back home. You know, we have to be able to see that, yes, us first and foremost, but next to us, we still need people.
We do, yeah, we do it, and it's important. It's important for those like arrangements and relationships to be productive, and useful, and a fair exchange, and those are the best relationships. You know, it's like it's not good for somebody if they're taking from you.
Yeah.
It's not even good for them. It's like if there's some like guy on the street and you just keep giving him money, and he just takes the money and goes and buys fucking crack. It's like that's a one-way fucking street, man.
Yeah.
You're giving him money, and he's not giving anything to you.
No.
And it's not even benefiting him because it's just going and hurting him. So the best relationships in nature are symbiotic.
Right.
So we want to be productive for both people. And when you feel, at least this is what I try to do, when I feel like it's not going that way, I try to step back.
Yeah.
And I say,
rightfully so.
It's obviously not that important to you.
Yeah.
You know, so I try to always hammer that home, like, and that's why I was saying that about licking the honey. It's like, you know, you want to always be able to just lean back and be like, oh, I guess it's not that valuable to you because you're not investing.
Yeah.
If it was valuable to you, then you'd be investing. That's okay. Yeah. It's just not a good fit for you.
That's right. That's it. You know, and there's so much interplay that we neglect. You know, and there's a dual opposition. You know, and this is represented, say, in a like it's an all too human thing, and it's really these twin opposed forces of the human psyche. For instance, like the Cain and Abel story, for instance. You know, a great lecture by Jordan Peterson on this. You know, these two forces. You know, you got to think of, you know, Cain is the adversary. He's sort of the pathological ego, the idiosyncratic, riddled, faltering, dwindling being, and Abel's his ideal, right? He's the positive ideal. That's what I want to have. That's what I want to be. And then there's me. I'm fallible, fragile. I'm emotional. I'm weak. I'm this. I'm that. But if you kill your ideal, right, you've essentially killed yourself, right? And that's something about um, that's something to say for. I lost my train of thought.
You don't kill the ideal.
Right. So you don't kill the ideal, and when you do, when that travesty hits you, you're never going to recuperate from that. And let's think of let's say that and how it would equate to love. Okay, love's a huge word, and I think a good definition of that, besides enacting and embodying trust, you got to think of it as a dynamic system. It's living. It's autonomous. Okay, it's easy, say, as an archetypal thing. That's why it's easy to identify it or interpret it as a deity, right?
Oh.
That's why we can project that. So the phenomena of love, a manifestation of a very intricate, complex biological system, right? Not only is it old, but it's also at the forefront, but also has another dual aspect of it where you can be in bad love. You can be in good love. But this dynamic system, I guess to abridge adequately what I'm trying to say is that if you focus on contending with your ideal and then the person that you are, and you don't allow room for that living dynamic system outside of yourself, you're never going to be able to merge them all adequately, because you can posit your ideal and I would say in conjunction with it could be the centerpiece of that living, loving dynamic system. Your ideal's here, your girlfriend's ideal is here. It's posited, it's real. Both of you work together. I like to think of it like a spiral. And you two are doing it together while not killing the ideal of the other or the self. Right? And all of this ties into the persona, all of it. Right? All of what we project and what we do, all of that mask, we hide behind it instead of being unbridled and being completely open about it. And the moment you can do that, my head is fucking raging right now. There's such a constituent importance to being able to unmask yourself with your ideal without that contempt feeling of pious, venerated, pietistic feeling. You have to be like, your ideal's nested in the center, and so is theirs, and you're working together, independently and conjoined, in this motion upwards. Right, it's always going up.
I totally agree with that, man. Like, and then you're just trying to find out, like, you're trying to find out is like, here's my ideal, what I'm working towards. Here's this other person's ideal, what they're working towards. Now, where's the overlap? Like, what kind of way can we work together? And maybe that's only like a brief moment. Like, oh, we can work together just this one night. Oh, we can work together in this kind of way. But, like, you're just trying to find out, you're just screening that person to find out how are we a good fit. And then it's like, oh, we're just finding out, oh, we're actually not a good fit. Oh, okay. And you're just carrying on, you're looking for someone else's, oh, we're a pretty good fit. Oh, but not quite everything. Okay. What about this other person? And that's all it is. And it's like, you're just screening that to find out who's a good fit. So it's like, if someone doesn't like you, or it's just like, it's not even that they don't like you. It's just like, oh, we were a good fit for a while, but as we get to know each other more, there's not as much overlap as we first thought. That's okay. And
that's right.
And like, it wouldn't make sense to carry on.
And a lot of the times, unfortunately, before people get to that point, they let that accrue. They
Yeah.
let it build up, right?
And you
then
don't
it becomes venomous.
and you
Right?
don't you want to find out right away that it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
Like right away, like as soon as I can possibly find out it's not a good fit, that's
Yeah.
even better. It's like, oh great, I didn't realize that, but now I do. Cool.
Right. Well, and that's something um, interesting for for my circumstances right now. I was how, fortunate for this whole pandemic thing because I get to spend so much time with my girlfriend, and if I truly didn't realize in what, like 3 months of being shut down, that I couldn't build a future with with this woman, then I'm an idiot. And I'm like, and that's the best thing about it is I've got to see the idiosyncrasies, the pathologies. And she's got to see mine. So at this point, it's like if we didn't see by now that we weren't a good fit, then we're willingly blind, and that's horrible. But I would say to be optimistic about it is, it's good. you know, and a lot of people take that term "good" for granted, like it's good. Like you have to espouse it truly when something's good. It can't just be it's okay. It has to be, if it's good, there has to be a good reason. So.
Yeah. 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 Well. Yeah. I mean, it takes time too to find things out, and
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of time ahead to be distilled into life.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Huh. Okay. So those were mostly ideas from Jung and from Nietzsche. A lot of those ideas you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, a lot of it's underlying their philosophy, their psychology. So, it's difficult. It's hard to interpret them.
Oh yeah.
But when you take the time and you just stay with it, constantly think. I think that maybe this last bit's a good conclusion.
Okay.
About the human condition. So it's a dichotomous argument in regards to the human condition. Perhaps what it means to be all too human. So, on the one side, you have, albeit it's different perceptually, inasmuch as we can distill and engender this ambivalent being, a human capable of greatness and goodness. But what is sometimes generally negated or neglected is a complete opposite of that, the eternal human proclivity for evil. We consist of those two opposing beings, which is analogous to, or in conjunction with, those archetypes aforementioned, like the Cain and Abel, right? But the beings in and of ourself is the androgynous beings that are perpetually contending with one another, but never truly harmonize, and very often commit atrocities. If you simply juxtapose both constituent elements without being cynical or naive, then you'll find that you are endowed axiomatically with the proclivity yourself, which begs some fundamental questions, right? So there we have it.
Huh.
These archetypes, they're starting at the cosmogony, and they reverberate down into very, very individual, personal archetypes. From an infinitesimal manner to a macrocosm as life forces. And so, there we have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, well, yeah. Definitely onto something.
Yeah. It's very, very, I would say, ambiguous concept. There's there's so much that you could derive from that in and of itself, because they're just, it's complex. But if you can ever come to if anyone can ever come to a point in life where they're thinking, I am too much against myself, why is that? Then you read these stories, you see that people have been trying to contend with this since time immemorial, just about, in the realm of human consciousness, right? It's always been at the forefront, well, except, people asking those nonsensical questions like the meaning of life, but this is just something completely, I don't know, incalculable. It's unreal, surreal, I suppose.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like we're all just kind of, we're all living, like we're all alive here.
Yeah.
And like, some of us are trying to gain like more like rewarding, more like nourishing reference experiences in life. Like we want to have like a nourishing engagement with someone. Like you and I are trying to have this fucking valuable engagement. Anyone who's watching this is the same. They're trying to do something like, it's like, why not just go watch some like highly produced fucking prank video or some fucking eating challenge? Go watch someone eat fucking 25 fucking cheeseburgers. It's like, or some clickbait title of some fucking drama ensuing somewhere. It's like if that's what you want, if you think that's like a good use of your time, then go do that.
Yeah,
like go fucking do it. There's probably shitloads of videos that you can go watch right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if you want to waste time.
If you want to fuck around and watch fucking prank tube or some fucking, some gossip or some retarded gossip shit that just gets you basically high. All you're doing is getting high on gossip.
Yeah, a little like dopamine
kick. It's just a fucking dopamine kick when you're high on some shit that fucking Kim Kardashian did. It's like, then, then go do that. But if you rather get a reference experience of like what we're trying to do, which is like actually engaging with something valuable, then good. And like that's why we resonate in this way, because this is what we're after. We want to learn from the great fucking people, from the great teachers of our fucking people, of our fucking time, of our generation, of all generations, great writers, great fucking speakers, great activists, whoever they were.
Yeah.
And that's what we're into. And so we try to learn from them, and we try to break down their shit and be like, Nietzsche said this, like, what do you think? Jung said this, like, what the fuck? What can we make out of this?
Yeah.
Because those guys were just doing the same shit to fucking Plato or to Aristotle or whoever they were learning from.
That's right.
And they were all doing the same shit to Jesus or to fucking God or whoever. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And it's the advocates of this profundity, right? They produce the efficacy necessary to make sure that their thoughts are heard, as much as we try to dispel them or think, it can't be like that because of some rational hubristic nonsense, and that's right. Like you said to me the other day, I guess last couple weeks ago, we stand on the
shoulder of
shoulders of
giants.
giants, right? So, and it's so true. It's very, very true. And right, and in regards to this, and if anyone seeing it thinks, oh well, this is just nonsense, then sure. I mean, hey, if they can't find value in maybe thinking, then they probably don't. They don't deserve to watch.
And it's like sorry we didn't work out every single fucking detail of reality for you in an hour or two.
Yeah,
it's like, gee, sorry. Like it's like things aren't fucking simple. Things are not that clean and clear cut. Like, do you ever notice how like you see those videos and they're like, do these 3 things right now and fucking change your life forever.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, those are fucking clickbait titles.
Yeah.
Those guys, they themselves know that's just bullshit. Like, they know it's bullshit. They're just, it's part of the fucking business. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like he knows that it's just clickbait, but if you watch that video, your life might be a little better. Like, I even tried to put some of those on sometimes, and I'm like, I'll put like, Josh and Luke discuss the meaning of life and fucking discover the fucking secret to happiness. It's like, but you know what? It's worth it if it gets some fucking idiot. I'd rather a guy see the clickbait and watch this than just go watch a fucking prank video.
Right, exactly.
Like, at least it's drawing him into something. There's no way a prank video is going to help him at all.
No.
This video, this might not solve all his problems, but at least it's in the right direction.
Right.
And
right. I mean, take accountability for your individual responsibility. Uphold that. Take that to the utmost degree. That's not something bad to espouse. And putting yourself together. A phrase that Jordan Peterson loves to use a lot. There's nothing wrong with that message. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself together. Become that which you could be. Be open-minded. Think, try to commiserate with other people. But for the love of God, make something, or at least attempt to make something of yourself here on earth. Because we're fallible. We're not immortal. Right? So try to do something. Be something. Be someone. At least in your own eyes, to countervail the existential angst of being. Luke and I produce this value. We might not be rich. You might be rich. I don't know. But we have this personal continuity, interconnectivity of producing value, and that's subsequent enough.
And that's...
At least it could be long term. It could be moment to moment. But when we're in these moments, it's going to propel us forward.
Yes.
Even further.
Yes, I 100% agree, man. That's a good... We'll wrap her up here soon, but that's good, and that's 100% true. It's useful to us to engage like this because it propels us forward, and it lets us know that what we're doing is right and is on the right track, and it encourages us. Like, you get like a vibrational hit. Like, you're like, okay, good, that was useful. When you're walking down the street and you just have some fucking pointless conversation with someone about coronavirus, you don't get anything out of that. Oh, did you hear the government changed the fucking restrictions? It's like, that's not good for any. That's not useful. Whereas what we're doing here, we're trying to be.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we can't negate it any further. We can't dispense with it. We engender this, that's our burden. That's the human condition.
This is what we want to do, man. We're not... I'd rather be like this because... You know why? And we'll wrap her up here. And you know why? Because then I have a reason to hang out with other people like me. Then I have a reason to get together with you, even just like this on Skype, whatever.
Yeah.
So if I keep thinking in this way and proposing these type of ideas, as a reward, I get to hang out with someone like you, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's like good. That's how I know I'm on the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, man. Okay, all right. So that's, I guess, pretty much it for today, and we'll take some time to bring some new ideas in and assimilate them, and maybe we'll come back with some more ideas. Are you working on anything recently? I know you were doing a little bit of writing yourself, a few little essays and stuff. And
Yeah, actually,
cool.
I am.
Good, man.
I'm making some headway.
Good.
I've got a little bit about primordial light and darkness.
Sick.
I've got construction of being, which I've started, and the underlying philosophical and archetypal meaning of a target.
Oh, sick. Okay, so we'll wish you well on that journey, and if you if you ever want to send some more stuff my way, or we'll take a look at it, feel free. I got a few things I'm working on, and maybe the next time we reconnect, we'll both have a little progress, and we can share some new ideas.
I'll definitely be sending some stuff your way soon. I'm making good headway on the first essay here that I've been doing. So
sick. Okay, my friend.
All right, man.
Been a pleasure.
As always.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Bye.
See ya.